I want to tell you about the most committed client I have ever worked with. And it's not the most technically gifted, not the most naturally comfortable on camera, not even the one with the most time or the most resources, but the most committed. Because in 15 years of directing on-camera performances, coaching creators and professionals, small business owners, and building content systems for some of the highest performing professionals in the world, I've learned that commitment is the only variable that determines the outcome and all but guarantees success. Not the camera, not the setup, not the industry, not the budget, sheer unwavering commitment. And this client was operating in one of the most demanding professional environments imaginable. Long hours, high stakes, zero margin for error in his actual work. And yet, he carved out at least 60 to 90 minutes per week, every single week, to show up on camera and trust the process. And just 10 weeks later, the results were undeniable. This is that story. And by the end of this video, you're gonna understand exactly what made it possible, and whether that same thing is possible for you. I'm going to refer to my client as Dr. G. Fellowship trained, 25 years of surgical experience, over 12,000 procedures performed. By any objective measure, one of the most accomplished professionals in his field, and yet completely invisible online. His competitors, some with a fraction of his credentials and a fraction of his outcomes, were showing up on YouTube, in Google searches, and in AI-powered discovery tools. And the people who needed his expertise were finding those competitors too. Not because they were better at what they did, but because they showed up first online and established trust through their content before the first conversation ever happened. So here's the moment that solidified it for Dr. G. He was in the middle of a round of golf when a longtime friend broke the news that he would be working with a different practitioner for an upcoming procedure. The worst and most painful part was that Dr. G was far more experienced and decorated than the competing surgeon. But the other surgeon had a powerful personal brand and strong online credibility built through consistent YouTube content. And for Dr. G's friend that he's golfing with, that online credibility became the differentiator. The trust signal that built enough perceptual value to choose a stranger over his own friend. That moment hit differently than any metric ever could. Dr. G Googled his own specialty in his city. He saw the results, and he felt the quiet, uncomfortable realization that his online presence did not come close to reflecting who he actually was and what he was actually capable of. I tell the story not because it's unique to Dr. G's industry. I tell it because it's one of the most consistent patterns I see across every domain I work in. The most accomplished experts in any field are often the least visible online. The attorney with 30 years of experience loses a client prospect to a new practitioner who has a polished YouTube channel. A financial advisor with an impeccable track record loses a meeting to someone who has been posting consistently for 6 months. The consultant with a decade of proven results loses the contract to someone who simply shows up in search results first. Expertise does not guarantee visibility or even success. And in the world we are operating in today, if you are invisible online, you are invisible to the people who need you most. That was Dr. G's problem, and it is probably yours too. Before we built anything, I needed to understand why Dr. G was invisible, because the answer is almost never what people think. Most people assume the problem is time or technical ability or comfort on camera, and those things are real, but they are symptoms, not the cause. The real problem is what I call the invisible expert stack. The 5 barriers that keep world-class professionals from being found online. Even when their outcomes are remarkable, even when they are committed to the process, even when they genuinely try for excellence. Dr. G had hit all 5. Awareness. He understood that YouTube existed, but treated it like social media. Post something, hope it gets traction, move on. What he did not yet understand is that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and it feeds 3 distinct discovery systems simultaneously. that most professionals are completely invisible in. And those three discovery systems are YouTube search. So when someone types their most burning questions, their most pressing matters into YouTube, the platform surfaces the results the same way Google does. The professional with an optimized presence, they get found. The one without it does not exist in those results at all. Then we have Google search. Google owns YouTube. YouTube videos appear directly in Google search results in the featured carousels above website listings. And Dr. G's competitors were showing up in Google, not just through their websites, but through their YouTube content. And of course, AI-powered search. When someone asks ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Google AI's overview for a recommendation, the AI pulls from the most authoritative, well-structured content it can find. According to Bright Edge research, YouTube is cited 200 times more. Professionals with consistent YouTube content are being cited by AI as the authoritative source. Professionals with no digital presence do not exist in that world at all. Dr. G was invisible in all three. Not because he was not excellent, but because the infrastructure that would have made him visible simply did not exist. Now, the next component in the invisible expert stack is competence. The creator skill stack is genuinely overwhelming when you try to learn it alone for the first time, much less while running a demanding professional life. Keyword research, channel architecture, scripting, on-camera delivery, edit production, thumbnails, SEO, lead capture, each is its own discipline. Confronted simultaneously, they are paralyzing. Next is confidence. Even 25 years of performing at the highest level in his field did not make the camera feel unnatural. Speaking to a lens in an empty room is neurologically different from the one-on-one interactions he had mastered with patients in his clinic. The brain registers that unfamiliarity of speaking on camera as a threat. So he had to embrace the discomfort, push himself out of his comfort zone, and work through the fundamentals of being successful with on-camera delivery. Next is structure. Without the right channel architecture, content becomes disconnected and impossible for the algorithm to categorize for people who are searching online. He had tried. He posted a few things without any keyword strategy or without any foundation for discoverability, without any lead capture structure, got nothing, and drew the wrong conclusion that the platform didn't work or that it just wasn't for him. But it always works. You just have to have the right infrastructure, and his was not there yet. And last is systems. Even professionals who clear the first 4 barriers hit the wall of sustained execution inside an already full professional and personal life. I mean, one heavy week, one missed upload, momentum ends up resetting. And here's the paradox I've learned working with my clients. Nobody talks about this. The better you become at your craft, the more you immerse, the more hours you invest in developing your expertise, the deeper your knowledge grows, the more accomplished you become in your field, the more invisible you become online, which sounds odd because every hour you spend in becoming world-class at what you do, you are not leveraging the scalability of a digital infrastructure with content that makes people who need to find you discover you. Your commitment to excellence in person is part of the reason you are invisible online, because you don't do anything outside of that. So Dr. G did not have a commitment problem, he just had a system problem. He had an invisible expert stack with barriers that he needed to overcome. But when we gave him the system, the results followed. When Dr. G and I connected, his first instinct was to go viral on social media. He thought virality equaled success. It's one of the most common misunderstandings I encounter, and it fundamentally creates misalignment for what makes YouTube valuable for a professional who is building authority and generating real business outcomes online. Real success with organic content is not views, it is not subscribers, it is depth and engagement with the right people at the right moment in their decision-making process. So we built a system designed to produce exactly that. Before a single video was filmed, we spent 3 weeks building the foundation. Keyword research, not guessing at topics, but systematically researching into exactly what Dr. G's ideal patient avatars were searching for. We mapped the search landscape, identified the gaps his competitors had not filled, and built his entire content strategy around the terms people were actually using when they needed his expertise. Then we built the channel infrastructure, architecture, playlist structure, thumbnail templates, channel description, all optimized for search, and a lead capture path connected directly to his business inquiry system. Look, a YouTube channel without the right foundation is just content that's floating in the dark. But with the right foundation, it is a compounding authority machine. Then we scripted every video written in his voice, his specific language, his way of explaining complex ideas, his perspective on outcomes and process. Not just that generic content that gets spat out from LLMs. Dr. G's expertise, structured for maximum discovery and trust. For our partnership with Dr. G, we went further than the standard remote build. My team actually traveled to his location, directed his on-camera delivery personally, produced his first content arsenal on site, and consulted very closely on every component of his recording setup so that he could produce content consistently with his own studio. That level of hands-on engagement, it collapses a timeline that would take most working professionals months to figure out outside of their business, doing it on their own. We produced every video, optimized every metadata field, published consistently on a set schedule every week without fail. His only ongoing commitment was 60 to 90 minutes on camera per week. Everything else was ours. If what I'm describing sounds exactly like what you have been missing, subscribe. I break down the complete methodology on this channel every week. And if you want to go deeper on what a done-for-you content system looks like for your specific situation, the link is in the description. Now let me show you what 10 weeks of this system produced. 10 weeks, January through mid-March of 2026, 0 paid ads, 1,400 new subscribers, over 150,000 views on YouTube, 8,000 hours of watch time, 47 qualified leads, people who found him organically, patients who watched his content and reached out ready to do business. This resulted in multiple new premium clients, a campaign period that produced 6 figures in revenue. YouTube was a critical component of this comprehensive strategy, and when all the components are built correctly and executed consistently, the results compound. And here's what makes YouTube different from every other marketing channel he could have invested in. Those videos are still ranking right now, still building trust with the people who have not found him yet, still generating patient leads at 0 additional production costs. In fact, in our most recent strategy meeting, nearly 2 months after we had last produced new content for the channel, my client told me they had received 15 qualified inquiries directly from YouTube. Every month, the channel gets more valuable. Every video compounds the one before it. So unlike a paid ad that stops the moment the budget does, a YouTube channel built correctly becomes an asset. It works around the clock, like a digital employee. It does not require you to keep feeding it money to keep running. It's a compounding machine that gets more powerful with every piece of content added to it. To be clear about something before we close, Dr. G is a decorated, one-of-a-kind expert at his craft. But he's not miraculously positioned or uniquely resourced more than anybody else. He just is an expert in his field who is invisible online. And it's the same way that thousands of talented and accomplished professionals are invisible online right now. What made the difference was not who he was and his commitment to excellence in his profession. It was his willingness to commit to 60 to 90 minutes per week on camera consistently for as long as it took. Being committed to the process. That is the whole equation on his end. Okay, the system did the rest. Think of yourself, the gap between where you are and where Dr. G is after just 10 weeks, it's not a talent gap, it's not a resource gap, it is not even a comfort on camera gap, it is a system gap. You have the expertise, you have the story, you have the outcomes. What you do not have yet is the infrastructure that makes those things discoverable to the people who need them most. That is the invisible expert problem. And it is solvable. The question is whether you are willing to commit to 60 to 90 minutes per week to showing up on camera and trusting a system built to do everything else. That's what the YouTube trust engine is built to do. Dr. G was committed, and 10 weeks later, his content was compounding, his patient leads were inbound, and his most qualified patients were finding him before the first conversation ever happened. So that is what YouTube actually does when built correctly. It doesn't just generate vanity metrics and views, it generates trust at scale on your behalf, whether you are thinking about it or you're out golfing. The most accomplished professionals in any field are often the least visible online. Not because they lack expertise, not because they lack the outcomes, because they're trying to solve a system problem with discipline alone. Posting more, trying harder, waiting to feel ready. Dr. G tried all of that before we got connected, got nothing. And it was ready to just write off the whole idea entirely and just go back to staying committed to excellence in person with his craft. But 10 weeks of the right system later, the results spoke for themselves. I've seen the same system produce a 180% increase in surgical volume for an ophthalmic medical practice, a 193% increase in premium procedure adoption for a surgical clinic, another medical client closing patients on premium services in clinic by leveraging custom journey videos, reducing friction, accelerating decision-making, and increasing trust from the first touch point to commitment, live in clinic. The framework is the same, the system is the same, the commitment required is the same. At least 60 to 90 minutes a week consistently in a system built to handle everything else. If you are a professional who knows you should be building a presence online but can't seem to make it stick, this channel exists for you. Subscribe. Every week I break down exactly how we do it. And if this story resonated with you and you want to understand what the system could look like for your specific situation, the link is in the description below. We'll give you total clarity on what is possible and what it could take. Subscribe for weekly frameworks on camera confidence, creator marketing, and building a personal brand that compounds. And if you want the framework delivered straight to your inbox, join Creator Legion. It's free and it's linked in the description below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.